You are paying £1,300 a month for someone to answer the same 10 questions your customer asks every single day. What if a £50 tool could handle 80% of that? Last year, a small e-commerce business cut their support tickets by 70% and saved 78 grand. They did it with a tool that cost less than your phone bill. And that is what this video is about. I want to break down what actually works for small business with AI in 2026, what is just hype, and also give you a framework so you can decide what is worth your time and money. Welcome to AI in Business. I'm James Anderson, and this channel breaks down AI for business owners. What's happening, what's relevant, and what it means for your business. So let me break this down in plain English. When people talk about AI for business, they are usually talking about one of three things. First, you've got chatbots, which are very knowledgeable colleagues who will only answer when you come to the desk and ask them something. They respond to questions, but they do not go looking for work. Second, you have AI tools that create content, like writing emails, social media posts. Third, and this is where things get quite interesting, you also have AI agents. An AI agent is like an assistant who handles things for you without being asked. It can search the web, read documents, send emails, or update a spreadsheet. The key difference from a chatbot is autonomy. A chatbot waits, an agent acts. For most small businesses in 2026, the most valuable thing is actually the simplest version of this. It is using AI to automate the repetitive stuff that eats up your day. The tools have got so much better in the last year that you do not need to be technical to use them. You do not need to code, you do not need to hire a developer. Most of what works is already built into the software you probably already use. So let me break this down why it matters for your business. The research is actually quite striking. In 2026, Small Business AI Outlook report shows an average time saving of 5.6 hours per week per worker, with managers saving even more at 7.2 hours. That is almost a full working day back every single week. And as business owners, efficiency is everything, especially when you're running a smaller size business, because every penny counts. And if you can get higher efficiencies and maximize your staff's time, this is a big benefit. Let me give you some concrete examples. There's a B2B SaaS company that saved 70 man hours per month by replacing their FAQ page with an AI chatbot. That is nearly 2 full work weeks every month, just from a local tool that cost a few £100s. Another business implemented AI call handling and saw their answer rate go from 60% to 98%. Their booking conversions went up by 65% and they saved 20 hours per week and gained about £3,000 in monthly revenue. Sounds good. An e-commerce company set up email automation that cut their response time from 18 hours to 2 minutes. Their cart recovery rate jumped from 8% to 23%, adding £8,000 per month in recovered revenue. Setup took 3 weeks and it costs around £108 a month to run. And all of these tools have been implemented in my business as well. We've created an agent for service, where essentially my service director has built in all the technical manuals, all of our FAQs into basically a Telegram bot, so that we give it to our key accounts and they have instant 24/7 access to sort of service queries. They can take pictures, they can send it through. We have a work order log in our ERP, which we've built, which you'll see if you subscribe with my channel. And also we automate a lot of our marketing functions as well, our email outreach, social media posts, LinkedIn messaging. So basically we put this huge AI support team around our existing business, which is basically what this channel is all about. How can you leverage AI into your current operations? So the numbers add up fast. The report shows 67% of small businesses using AI saw over a 20% revenue growth. Average annual savings per employee is around £35,000 when you factor in the same time saved. Customer satisfaction goes up by about 26%. And also on the flip side, it's not just about revenue. There's a lot of things you can actually do in-house now yourself using AI. So for example, we've been doing things like updating our website, doing SEO analysis, and then tweaking things like meta tags and keywords and article creation, marketing posts, doing paid adverts, A/B testing, creating feedback loops so that you can optimize your adverts. There's loads of amazing things you can do now, which one can increase revenue, but two can also reduce cost, because a lot of these things, these functions, you would historically have to outsource to an SEO specialist, which at the end of the day, SEO specialists still have the value, but what you can do now is do a lot of the legwork yourself, and then they can just overview and sort of supervise if you wanted to go down that route. Now, I want to be clear about what this is not. This is not about replacing your staff. It's about removing the repetitive drudgery so your team can focus on the work that actually needs a human. In our business, we also use AI to handle sorting of customer inquiries across UK, Saudi, and Dubai. It doesn't replace our customer service team. We just help and sort and prioritize things so that we can follow up with our key higher tier rated customers. And because we operate in the Gulf, the first thing we had to do was test every tool with Arabic names and communication patterns. Most of the off-the-shelf chatbot stuff were trained using English language and data from the US and the UK. So if you have an international customer base like we do, you can't just plug in a tool and assume it works for everyone, and test it with your actual customer and not just the vendor's demo data. So let me walk you through what it actually looks like in business. There's three areas where I see small business getting the fastest results. First, customer service. If you're spending more than 10 hours a week answering the same questions, an AI chatbot can handle that. Tools like Zendesk AI or Intercom can deal with 84% of customer questions instantly. The setup takes 2 to 3 weeks and costs around £100 to £200 per month. The ROI is typically 30 to 90 days. Now, this is using an off-the-shelf model. It could be a good way to test things and start things out just to get used to it. But ultimately, what I would recommend, and with this channel, I would recommend developing your own chatbot or your own internal tools. I'm going to be explaining the tiers of implementation on this channel. So tier 3 is essentially using frontier models and using off-the-shelf models, which is exactly like the example I've just given. Tier 2 is basically developing your custom in-house tools and then plugging into frontier models for non-sensitive stuff like marketing and sales stuff, and then using basically offline models or open source models for private tasks like finance and IP and design and all that sort of secret stuff you keep in the business. And then tier 1 is developing your own internal production systems which are hosted online. If you've got a larger company, you're global, you need people to dial in from all over the world, that's basically tier 1, the gold standard, where you develop products and tools which are absolutely custom built to your business. You probably hire a developer or hire a development company to sort of maintain and manage it, but essentially this is like the gold tier, and if you've got the budget, this is where I would recommend to go in the future. Second, content and communications, writing emails, drafting proposals, creating social posts, and scheduling follow-ups. Tools like ChatGPT Plus at £20 a month can eliminate 10 to 15 hours of weekly grunt work. With the frontier models, just be careful what you're putting in there. Just make sure it's all non-sensitive, public available data, because essentially you're just going to be given all your trade secrets to a huge international corporate. But here is the important bit. Use the AI for drafts, not finished outputs. Treat it like a junior copywriter who works fast but needs editing. The output is a starting point, not the final product. And I mean, this is just AI common sense, really. Whatever you produce on AI, we are not in a position of fully autonomous AI at the moment. Yes, with heavy guardrails, with really good context, all the rest of it, you can get it to about 80, 90%, but you still need that at least 10% of that human in a loop review. So the common thread in every success story I've seen is starting with one specific problem, not trying to automate everything at once. Pick the tasks that eat the most time, automate that, measure the results, and then move on to the next one. So let me talk about what AI tools actually cost, because the vendors will not tell you the full picture. The subscription itself is usually the smallest part. A realistic tool stack for a small business could look something like this: ChatGPT Plus or Claude Pro, £20 a month, Canva Pro with AI, which is about £120 a year, and that'll handle sort of 80% of your digital needs without having to hire a designer if you're a small business and your budget is low. An email automation tool is between £11 and £50 a month, and maybe a specialist tool for customer service could be between £100 or £200 a month. Total you're looking at is maybe £200 to £400 a month for a decent setup. And this is like the tier 1, which I've mentioned is using off-the-shelf stuff, frontier models. And this is probably a good place to start in business to sort of test AI in a sort of fairly safe environment with low sensitivity documents. But here's what the vendors don't tell you. The hidden cost is your time. Every tool has a learning curve of 20 to 40 hours, and every tool needs someone to maintain it. Update the content, check the outputs, etc. The first year total investment for a small business doing this properly is more like £5,000 to £9,000 when you factor your time and your setup. And then there's a subscription creep. As you grow, generally these sort of what I call tier 1 models, it's very easy to accumulate and increase the usage and the tokens, and then you hit limits and you want to expand and you want to do more, and that's how they get you in. They get you on board and then they just scale you up. You know, we've used tools like MailChimp and stuff with clients in the past, and they get ridiculously expensive when you start getting 20, 30,000 users on there. So just beware of this. I mean, at one point we had 4 different AI tools overlapping things across our business when none of them were really properly configured. And we cut back to 2, configured them properly, and then got better results for less money. And the research backs this up. Switching between tools constantly costs you 15 to 30% of your initial setup investment every single time. Staff lose their prompt mastery, data has to be migrated, integrations break. Consistency with one well-configured tool beats chasing the latest model every time. Now here is something most people overlook. The single most important AI skill for your staff in 2026 is not coding. It's not data science. It's knowing how to write a good prompt. A prompt is just the instruction you give an AI tool. And the difference between a vague prompt and a well-structured one is the difference between a useless output and something genuinely helpful. The formula is simple: context plus content plus criteria. So instead of just write me an email in ChatGPT, what we do is we generate the prompt with AI and then feed it into AI. So the first thing is give as much context as possible. So in ChatGPT, type in, write a follow-up email to a client who requested a quote for water treatment equipment last week. Keep the tone professional and warm, mention 48-hour delivery to Saudi, and keep it under 150 words. Take a couple of screenshots, maybe the client name, maybe the company that you're writing it to. And then at the end of that, type in, please write me a comprehensive prompt for this request. OpenAI will write you a prompt, copy it into a new chat in OpenAI, or put it into Claude and then get Claude to write you the prompt. And then what you should get is you'll get a really, really comprehensive prompt where you actually use an AI to prompt itself, and then the quality of your output will be 10 times better. Once you've actually run the prompt and got the output, then you need to read through and check it because there's things missing. One thing about AI is it misses the nuances and the slight context on things, so you definitely need to manually check through it. And staff who master using this approach can save like a couple of hours per week on tasks like writing emails, summarizing documents, and prioritizing to-do lists. 91% of small businesses using AI report revenue increases when their staff know how to use tools properly, but only 7% of workers consider themselves expert users, and 30% have received 0 training whatsoever. Where things go wrong. Now let me be honest about where this falls apart because nobody else seems to want to talk about it. The biggest risk with AI tools is that they make things up. It's called hallucination, and it happens more than most people realize. AI models generate confident sounding responses that are actually factually incorrect. They will invent statistics, cite reports that don't exist, and present completely fabricated information as if it were fact. 45% of workers in one study said they worry that excessive AI reliance harms their company's reputation. They are right to worry. And as business owners, it's your job to ensure your staff are creating quality AI-generated content. So here's the practical example. If you're using AI for predictive analytics in your business, a stock forecasting tool might tell you demand for a product is trending up 30% when it has actually invented the number from patterns that do not exist. So you go ahead, you order extra stock based on that, and now you're sitting on inventory you can't shift. That is real money lost because somebody trusted an AI output without checking it. Now, I'm not saying you're going to do that, but here's an example of how it could play out if you're not vetting and checking these outputs. Customer service chatbots are another danger zone. They will confidently give customers wrong information about your policies, your pricing, and your availability. I know this firsthand. We had a chatbot and it basically told somebody that we could come out and do a service visit for like £5. Obviously the client was super happy, tried to book it, and then we're like, sorry about that, that was a mistake. And it obviously damages your reputation. So you've got to make sure that your guardrails and your implementation on chatbots are absolutely watertight. Here's another one that catches most business owners out. You start with AI to draft a customer email, proposals or marketing content, and you stop reading them carefully before sending. The AI writes something that sounds perfectly reasonable but contains an error, a wrong number, a promise you can't deliver on, or a tone that does not match your brand. The rule is simple. AI is an assistant, not an authority. Everything it produces needs a human eye before it goes out to a customer or influences a final decision. In our business, nothing generated by AI goes out without a human review. And the companies we work with, exactly the same thing. We'll have at least 1, 2, or 3 layers of review within the business before it goes out. And we treat every AI output as the first draft. It's never ever the final product. The businesses that get burned are the ones that skip this step because they're in a rush. The other failure I see constantly is businesses buying tools without mapping their processes first. This is an absolute foundational step. And to be honest, I wouldn't even look at AI unless you've got your basic processes and policies mapped out in your business. One thing I see as a huge advantage is some of the clients. If you have ISO 9001 in your business, you are in the perfect position to roll out AI because basically your whole business is mapped out. Yes, it's a complete pain in the arse doing ISO 9001 and the annual reviews and audits are, but it's so valuable, and even more so now in the AI era because everything's mapped out. You can just basically build AI on top of your existing processes, your master list index, your SOPs. And it's amazing how many businesses who don't have processes and policies and procedures in place who just crack on, buy some AI tools because they've seen some post on Facebook or whatever, try and implement it in their business. It all collapses. They waste loads of money, they waste loads of time, and everyone gets upset. And that's why you need to check out our AI audit. So there's a website down below in the link. Have a look. You can book a free 15-minute call with myself. Happy to just have a general chat about your business and see if there's any opportunity and the outlay to put in some AI in place. The second step is obviously to engage and do a full AI audit, which we generally send out a questionnaire. We can do site surveys, however that means. Meet with your team, have a little check across all departments, identify your low-hanging fruit, and then match a product that fits with that, integrate it, test it, and see how it goes. And it's surprisingly cost efficient. And honestly, it will save you so much time and money doing it this route rather than just scattergun approach. So now I'm just going to give you a quick introduction to a framework for evaluating any AI tools are worth your money. So you need to ask yourself 3 questions. 1, does it save time? 2, does it save money? 3, does it reduce errors? If you can't answer at least one of these 3 with a specific number, don't do it, guys. Let me walk through the calculation. Identify a specific task, like writing 3 blog posts a week. Calculate the current cost. Say that it takes you around 6 hours and your time is worth £30 an hour. That's £180 a week. Now estimate an AI efficiency gain. Be conservative, assume 30 to 50% of time savings. Now it takes 3 hours instead of 6. Add the true costs. A tool might be £50 a month, plus maybe 4 hours of setup time and your hourly rate. That's £840 in the first year versus £9,360 you would have spent doing it manually. So listen, your time as business owners, your staff, you should know the cost per hour of your staff. You need to work out what they're doing, see if there's a way you can automate the repetitive tasks, find a tool, do the ROI calculation, implement the tool, and then measure again. And then that time you free up from the staff, it's not that they're just going home early or having a longer lunch break. You can obviously repurpose them onto other things in your business where AI is not applicable at the moment. So the distilled takeaway is that AI actually works for small businesses. It's not the flashiest tool. It's not gonna 10x your revenue in 24 hours. It's most effective when it's solving a specific repetitive problem, and it pays for itself in under 6 months. It never goes to a customer without a human checking it first. And these are some of the rules of thumb. So if you're thinking about AI in your business, have a look at this section and apply it and see if it fits. And again, if you haven't got the time or you want a specialist to come in and do it for you, please check out the website below, drop us an inquiry, book a free 15-minute call, and let's have a chat and see how we can integrate things in your business. So if that was useful, subscribe because I do this every week. And if you want help understanding how AI can be integrated into your system, I'll put a link in the description below. There's my AI audit service there. There's loads of content, blog posts, there's news articles. Please subscribe to my newsletter. I've also built AI news tool, which is specific for business owners and SMEs so that we filter the news that's relevant for you guys, because obviously you're the target audience. And there's no jargon and no pressure, just honest recommendations based on what actually works. I'll see you in the next one.